Insider, we've got a special guest joining us today who've recently graduated from our flagship course, the Life Mastery Achievers, also known as the LMA. And he'll be sharing with us in terms of his experience on board, how he found the whole journey and everything in between. So just want to say, it's a pleasure to see you here. Let's get started with the introduction question. What's your name, where you're currently based, and what do you currently do?
My name is Joshua Smallwood. I'm currently based in the UK, West Midlands area around Wolverhampton. And I'm currently a bartender. Obviously, there's been a bit of complication with COVID and stuff, but I'm a bartender at a restaurant and I've been doing that for the past year or so now.
Okay, awesome. So if you were to just kind of just rewind time right now, Josh, before you had come across LMA, do you mind just giving us like a glimpse of what was actually happening in your life back then? What was you actually experiencing? How was it making you feel and everything in between?
I was a totally just shell of myself was what I am now.
Mm,
I remember before I found LMA, I broke down to my mom. I've explained it a few times in the LMA community and I just couldn't cope anymore with what I was going through. So I was in a constant state of victimization every day, waking up literally to survive the day. Like I was getting through the day every single day. I was never waking up happy. I was never waking up thinking, oh, I can't wait to go and do this. Everything was just a drag, essentially. I was just every single day dragging myself through the day, pushing everything aside, all my problems, all the worries, everything that was going on in my mind, just pushing it aside, thinking it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll go away. And then lo and behold, it all just eventually the lid popped off and it just all came crashing down on me. And I broke down to my mom and I told her I just couldn't handle this anymore. And I genuinely was in a position where I thought, there is no way I can ever get out of this now. I was lying in bed on my own, just looking up at my ceiling, thinking there's nothing I can do. There's absolutely nothing I could ever do to get out of this. I'm either stuck like this or it's just, this is over. My life is now this.
mm,
And then I was just doing what I always did, mindlessly scrolling through YouTube and watching all the random videos that you can come across on that platform. And then suddenly your advert popped up and I thought,
mm.
okay, never really ever see anything to do with personal development, but I thought, okay, let's just watch the advert a little bit and let's just see what it's about. And then they had the live masterclass and I thought, okay, I may as well just try it because I'm at a loose end anyway. I got nothing to lose. So let's just try it. So I tried it and then got to the end of it and I thought, wow, I'd actually like to do that. And then the survival brain kicked in and I was thinking, just can't afford that though. There's no way I can do that. Would never invest that in myself. And then I just had this just something in my heart. There was something just telling me I just need to do it. I have to do this. I have to do it. And I just invested in it. And then I never looked back since. I just invested everything I had because I knew I was at a point where I was lost. I was never seeing myself getting out of that hole that I dug. You know, the hole was so deep that I never thought I could get out of that. And I went from being there to suddenly thinking, you know what is it to lose? I'm either going to lose everything or I'm going to lose everything trying.
Right. Yeah.
So I decided to take an opportunity and just take the risk of myself.
Okay. So just before we start, covering that in details in terms of what you experienced on board LMA,
Yeah.
just what you were describing then in terms of when you felt like you've had enough. What do you mean by that? And you also mentioned victimization. What was that specifically in your life? Was it something that happened in your life or was happening? And what did that actually look like?
It was a collective of things. It was from childhood all the way up till present moment, till I was around 18 years old.
Mm,
From the moment I was born kind of born into a household that wasn't the most family orientated. My whole family was kind of, if you want to say, broken.
mm,
And there was just never love or never care. My dad was a very toxic individual, very toxic, very narcissistic. So for my whole life, I grew up with his beliefs and
yeah,
his whole family's beliefs. And I thought, because I'm part of their family, that's exactly who I am. I will only ever be as good as they are.
mm,
And I grew up with the belief that I wasn't good enough. And I grew up thinking that life will never get better. Like I always saw my dad try and do something and fail and then give up. And then I'd see him bash on everybody else who was successful. And then my other side of the family were all just always, everyone who was successful, anybody who was doing good in their life, they hated them.
mm,
And I remember just thinking, so how could I ever be better than I am now? Because I'm just going to get told that I'm not good enough anyway. So every day I was living my life as a victim, thinking, oh, my life's never going to get better. Oh, I can never do that. Or if I try and do that, I might fail. Every single day was just, I was blaming something outside of me. It must be my dad. It must be my family. It must be my job. It must be whatever it was. I was blaming something else.
Mm.
And I just remember when I was lying in bed the one night and I saw the advert that you had, and I just remember thinking, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to wake up every single day struggling. If I wake up tomorrow in the same state, I've only got myself to blame. And it just started switching. It was just something in my mind just flipped. Something just snapped, and I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I can't do this. I'm either going to carry on living like this and live a life of regrets, hate my life, or I'm going to try and just change something. Something just snapped. I just got to the point where it's like, I can't physically do this anymore. So I have to try and change something.
So it's almost like you hit this threshold and that was it. Enough was enough for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the analogy. I always use the analogy that we're kind of like a bottle, and this bottle's constantly filling up. We are the bottle, and it's filling up with emotions, and it's filling up with experiences and past pains. And I was just letting these emotions boil up until they got to the top, and then all of a sudden the lid just blew off. It's like if you shake a bottle, it's the fizz is just going to eventually, the pressure will make it blow off, and I just couldn't contain all of that anymore. It just suddenly just blew out, so I had to deal with it somehow.
So which pillar of your life was this actually impacting the most when you were suffering?
Every pillar. There was nothing that was, at the time, because I was in such a negative state, there was nothing in my life that I was seeing positively. My physical pillar of myself, I'd put loads of weight on. I went from feeling like an athlete at school, and I was always doing all the activities, always doing sport, to doing nothing. Financially, I was always struggling, and I was falling into the patterns of my family where they're just getting by and only just about getting everything they needed. Just emotionally, everything was just, it was like I just lost. I felt like I'd lost everything, and I was so young. So I was like, how is this happening? I'm 18 and now I'm suddenly feeling like I have nothing. Every single pillar was just negative, everyone. So I knew I had to do something. And even when I just watched LMA, when I watched the advert, I just thought, even if this could just change one thing, even if I could just wake up and think, actually, today's not too bad, I might actually be able to get through it. That's all I wanted to change initially was just something slight. I wanted to see something slight just in any area.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that you're saying you hadn't watched the personal development on YouTube, and you were still targeted by us, which is a crazy coincidence. Because normally we would only be, of course, showing our message to people who are open to personal development. That is weird. That's weird how you came.
It felt weird.
Yeah.
It felt so strange. So strange.
So when you attended that masterclass, the free masterclass, Free Secrets to Reinvent Yourself, and you exposed yourself to our message and so forth, what was your initial experience of that? What was your impression of that? And how did it make you feel during that masterclass?
Because it was also fresh. And as I said, I'd never done personal development before. Like, I'd done physical activity and tried to change my physical body, but I never thought as the mind as something to change. I just thought the mind is the mind, and you have to just deal with what you've got. That was my motto. Just it is what it is. Get on with it. That was my genuine life motto. And I went from thinking that to all of a sudden, everything I'd ever thought, everything I'd ever believed, everything I'd ever done was suddenly being challenged. And I thought, so there's actually, I finally just saw like a light, and it's like this tunnel had just opened, and all of a sudden I was having the possibility that life could be better. And I was seeing through other testimonials and stuff like that I could actually change. I went from being stuck in bed to within just a couple of hours of a masterclass thinking I can actually change my life. I was looking for that. I was looking for that thing to suddenly be like, I want to change my life. And then all of a sudden it was just given to me. Yeah. It just suddenly appeared. Like you said, you don't normally target people who aren't open to it. And it just suddenly came to me. So I went from not having any understanding of personal development to now being, I want to change my life. It was just like a light bulb moment. It suddenly appeared, and I was like, I have to take this opportunity now.
And you was getting started on this journey, or you was getting started on this journey, very similar age to me actually. And you mentioned one of the biggest blocks I had, which was money issues. And you know, LMA, yeah, it's definitely a sizable investment, depending on how you're looking at it. So I suppose the question is, what was your initial fears or doubts you had, and how did you end up actually putting that aside and actually investing in you, and how did you even find the way, sort of thing?
At the time, it wasn't a lack of money that was stopping me, because unfortunately my granddad had not too long passed away, but he'd over time just accumulated money into a savings account for me. And it was for stuff like this. If I wanted to ever go to college, or I wanted to go to university, whatever I wanted to do development wise, that's what it was for. So at the time, I knew I had the money. I had that money, but I'd never had such a big sum of money in my life. So all of a sudden, this had been given to me, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I remember seeing the price, and I looked at the money I had, and I was like, well, I've got more than enough. But the problem I was having was I'd never, ever done anything for self-development. Why would I now suddenly invest that amount of money into myself? What kind? I was thinking that I would be selfish to do something like that. And I was thinking, I can't do that because I've got my girlfriend and my family. Maybe I should be like going on a trip with them, or I should be doing something that they want me to do, like university. And it's just something, I just suddenly paused, and I just stopped, and I was just looking around the room, and my scarcity brain was going off, going, you can't invest that money, you can't invest that money. And I just thought, I'm now in a position where it's lose everything, not trying, or just lose everything and actually try. I didn't know what it was going to bring. The only thing I was scared of was potentially not getting anything back. I thought, if I invest this and I don't get anything back, what a waste of money it's been. But because I'd been open to the possibility from the masterclass, I thought, well, I've already got this from a free masterclass. What's going to happen if I suddenly invest £2,000 or whatever it was at the time, and just, what if the doors just open? And I remember thinking that possibility in my mind, and I just thought, there's no way I can just back out of this. This just came to me at the right time. This is exactly what I was wanting. I can't now push it away. So I just thought, I'm either going to lose everything trying, or lose everything not trying. So I just decided to try. I took the risk, and I just thought, if this is free and I'm getting this amount of value, what can I get from actually investing in myself and going all in?
Wow. It's surprising because you seem more open than I was when I was getting started. Especially your conditioning sounds very similar to me in terms of the family conditioning and so forth. And one of the things you'll notice is, especially if there is lack growing up, is there's a lot of skepticism in terms of any form of change, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost like in that moment you was thinking for yourself and you decided, let me just take a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what would you say was the problem you were looking to resolve on board the LMA course? What was it that you actually wanted to get?
Initially, it was all things that I couldn't control. I didn't want any more depression, didn't want any more anxiety, I didn't want any more problems. I thought that initially, I could just disappear. That was my mindset. I just want everything to go, and I just want to be living in a happy land full of bunnies and rabbits, and everything's just perfect. And I genuinely wanted that for my life. Yeah. I never thought at the time, how can I grow with the problems? I was thinking more along the lines, how can I just remove these problems? That was my initial mindset. That's what I wanted to change. But the more and more I delved deeper into LMA as a whole, it became, how can I now improve what I have got? And it was just micro steps, micro adjustments. I went through the first time and I was like, okay, that was pretty good. I've now got the knowledge, but what can I do now? And then it became about action, and just every single time it was just slowly taking the next step. What's the next step? Instead of pushing everything aside, it then became about harnessing everything that I've got, using it to my advantage rather than pushing it away.
Right. What would you say initially surprised you the most, or made you feel the happiest when you began to get involved with our work and take advantage of support group and everything in between? What made you feel the happiest about joining our course?
The community as a whole. I didn't think, because when you're in a negative state, in a victimization state, you constantly think that you're alone, and you constantly think that nobody else has ever struggled with these things, or nobody else experiences what you're experiencing. It's just you, and you're so focused on yourself. Yeah. And then to then see that there's testimonials of people who are at rock bottom, and all of a sudden they're now shining. And then there's people who are still going through what they're going through, but they're actually persevering with it and pushing on. I was just like, how are these people feeling the way I'm feeling and still showing up every single day? That just inspired me to keep going. It was like, I know. Just something in my mind just changed. I was like, I know if these people have done it, I can do it. It just gave me like the initial happiness and drive I needed to keep going, because I kept telling myself, I can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. But seeing other people do it and seeing that you've done it as well, you were probably the biggest inspiration for me, seeing that you were in a very similar situation to me. And then all you've achieved now and still achieving, it just gave me that drive and happiness in myself to just keep going and keep pushing on.
Love it. So it's almost that the community was inspiring you to believe it's possible for you as well.
Essentially, yeah.
Right. So you stood out in this community amongst thousands of people because you were a very keen student, very keen, and you still are. So I suppose I wanted to ask you, what was you like that at the start of this LMA journey, or did something click in that happened that made you want to obsess over this stuff? What ended up happening there?
No. At the start, I resisted everything. I didn't want to. The first time I ever did it, it was all on my own, and it was all from my own perceptions, and I was just trying to smash through the LMA methodology as fast as I could. My mindset initially, when I first invested, was because obviously they got the money back guarantee and stuff, and because I was operating from total scarcity, it was, okay, let's just do 3 weeks, get some free knowledge, and then I'll just say that it doesn't work for me and then try and get my money back. That was how much scarcity I was operating with. Every day I was thinking, okay, let's just get through this one and this one and this one. But then I started to something just started to click in me, and I was just listening to them, and I thought, actually, I do want to carry on. I do want to move on to the next stage. What might happen? I just experienced such profound shifts in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like it was shifts in my actions. I was still behaving the same. I was still acting the same because I hadn't actually took the action yet. But just the learning alone initially was just so, because it was so new, it was something I never experienced. I was finally taking care of myself. It just inspired me to keep going. And I went through the first 6 weeks and I thought, now I want to actually put all this into practice. And it went from just knowledge to experience. And I wanted to experience these things. Everybody else was experiencing it. How can I experience this? So then I started taking part in the challenges the second season. And that was just the most scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I was hovering over the live button for ages and I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I went from not even wanting to do the methodologies at all, wasn't keen at all, to all of a sudden it was 6 weeks and I thought, okay, how can I improve? And then I got obsessed. Once I started seeing the improvements from taking action, I did the first live video and then that didn't go too well, but the next time it went a bit better and a bit better, and it just kept, micro adjustments just kept adding on. And I went from being who I didn't want to be to, I was starting to become somebody I wanted to be. Just seeing little improvements here and there, I got obsessed. I literally got obsessed with wanting to just be the best version of me. So then I was like, I finished the second season and I thought, oh my God, what can I do now? I didn't want it to end. But the live sessions were ending. I was thinking, Tim, please don't go, just stay. And Alice, everybody, don't go. I want to keep learning. And because I knew I had that drive, I thought, okay, it's now down to me now. I've got to start putting everything into practice. I started practicing things and I was seeing results and I was like, this stuff is actually working for me. And then it just slowly just kept increasing the obsession. And even now I've seen this, I've achieved, I guess, the best prize in LMA, but it wasn't the prize that's driven me to keep going. It's the fact that I've shown up every single day this season, every single day without fail. And I've seen the results that it's got me. And through seeing the results from taking action, it's just making me even more keen. The more that I keep learning, the more that I keep implementing, I'm getting more results. That's why I'm so keen, because I'm actually taking the action and seeing firsthand what it's doing for my life. It's changing my life in every area. That's why I'm so keen. So I was never keen at first, but now I'm probably the most keen student in the room.
Yeah, and I can feel it. That's the thing. Although you're not saying it in words specifically, what changes, I can feel the changes. Like the energy I feel from you is almost like a bunch of logs has just been ignited on fire. Yeah, that's what I feel from you. It's very contagious right now as well. And it's something I see amongst like the leaders of this world as well. And you've got it right now. It's ignited, which is awesome. Did it happen after you started like doing something specifically? Like as in when you fully felt like it ignited or something really just woke up in you? Like did something happen? Was it a module that you checked out or was it more just a gradual progress? What would you say back to that?
It was gradual progress initially. So going over each module and thinking, oh my God, I relate to that. Oh my God, I relate. And everything was like, oh my God, me too moment. I was
Yeah.
thinking, you know, this is good because it's everything that's going on in my mind is now being shown to me externally. So it was initially that, but I'd say the defining moment of when I began genuinely taking on all the lessons and genuinely taking massive change was when I started to do the challenges. The Heartfluencer challenges was like, it was a game changer, because I went from just having all this knowledge inside, and I was so eager to teach. Look, everybody who I was trying to teach to externally, like my friends, my family, they were. My mom, bless her heart, has been the only one open to it, really. But because they're not open to change, I was kind of getting rejected, and then I had to face that rejection and understand, okay, not everybody's open to it. They don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So having the Heartfluencer challenges and having the community to now teach what I've learned, rather than just stating everything that's in the methodologies, actually teaching it from my perspective, what have I taken, and then seeing other people's perspectives, it was just a game changer, because I've now went from learning the methodologies, living the methodologies, to now teaching it. So it was like I was getting a three-way learning method. I was learning from you and the methodologies, and then I was learning from myself through action and through just everything I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I was learning from the videos, because I was actually teaching it again, and teaching something, you're actually learning it back as well. That was the biggest game changer for me.
It's almost like you're fully integrating in multiple directions. It was just really going in here. Love it. Final question is, what advice, having now gone through this journey, Josh, what advice would you give to somebody sitting on the fence right now of possibly joining this journey with us? What would you say, having now gone through it, and also having been on the other side of when you weren't familiar with our work? What advice would you give to this person?
I'm very familiar with being on the fence. That's exactly how I started the journey. I think everybody on the planet, if you've never been invested into anything like this, you will feel scared. You will have scarcity energy. You will not want to do it, because it's that little voice again, the survival brain kicking in, telling you, don't do this, because he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what you're going through. This is all personal, and it'll tell you whatever it's going to tell you. My advice to anybody would just be, let that be. Let the survival brain just call you what it wants to call you. Let it tell you everything it needs to say. It won't stop doing that. So there's no point in trying to stop it before you take action. Just get started. That was the best piece of advice I've ever been given. Just get started. The moment you get started on it, the moment that you make the big investment in yourself and you pay the money or whatever it might be, the moment you take that action, everything just seems to open. The doors open to all these opportunities start flowing in. You actually start just getting momentum the moment that you start. So just take the plunge. Don't procrastinate on it. Don't argue with the survival brain. Don't worry about what's going to happen on the other side. Maybe you won't get any results at all, but that's the beauty of life. We go into things not knowing. It's that unawareness of what might happen that actually allows things to happen. You need to just be open to the possibility that things might happen, they might not happen, but without trying, you'll never know. You may as well end your life knowing that you tried and put everything in, rather than get to the end of your life and think, actually, I really wish I did that course 20 years ago, because it might have actually helped me now. Just invest, just go all in, put everything in, and stop arguing with the survival brain. It won't stop saying what it's going to say. Just get started and invest in yourself. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
Love it. Just get started. Just get started.
Just get started.
Josh, firstly, let's start wrapping up there. I just want to say thank you so much for your time today and sharing with us in terms of your experience. And also, the rest of you, I just want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. And as always, follow your heart and take action. And let's create the life you're truly born to live.